What's up, everyone? Welcome into another edition of DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined once again by Blake Williams of DodgerBlue.com. Blake, as spring training is winding down here, we've got a few little tidbits of news, some interesting quotes that have come out over the past few days. And while some of these don't necessarily justify maybe an entire video dedicated to themselves, I thought it was worth chatting about a few of them. Let's talk first with some good news. Let's talk Dustin May and the way he has described himself. Started a game earlier this week. The results were mixed, but it sounds like he's feeling pretty good heading into the 2023 season.
Yeah, he said he's the closest he's been to his pre-Tommy John surgery form. So it's always encouraging when a pitcher can get back to that spot. It's never a guarantee you're going to get back there, even though it is a pretty successful surgery now. So if he can get back to that form fully, the Dodgers might have another ace in their rotation, and it'd be a big help to them.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned they might have another ace. I feel like sometimes it's easy to forget. Obviously, you see how nasty this stuff is, but the upside with Dustin May, I think we get lost in the prospecty type stuff, and everyone wants to move on to Stone and Miller, and those guys might be very, very good. But Dustin May has the stuff that I would say is in many ways on par with a Bobby Miller, and yet Dustin May has actually proven it at the major league level. So you kind of in a throwaway line there said they might have another ace. I mean, do you think he has like top 25 pitcher in Major League Baseball potential?
Yeah, definitely. His stuff is probably one of the better arsenals in baseball. And
Yeah.
before he got hurt, he was looking like one of the best pitchers. So it's just about getting back to that spot and keeping his control down. That's kind of what he struggled with last season coming back, which is normal for a pitcher when they're coming back from an injury. So just get him back to that spot.
Yeah, let's talk Jimmy Nelson. A concerning spring to say the least. The velocity has not there. The performance has not been there. The Dodgers still, though, sound optimistic about Jimmy Nelson. The announcement was not a retirement announcement. It was a we believe in our guy.
Yeah, they said they still completely believe in him. So he before he got hurt, he looked like one of their best relievers, and he was pitching like one of the best relievers in baseball. But he's been out for quite a while with a lot of injuries. It's been kind of a trend throughout his career of him being injured. But when he's healthy and pitching, he's always had a lot of potential and talent. So if they just think that maybe another IL stint to open the year while he works on getting his control back will help him or something like that, they seem optimistic. I mean, they're obviously not going to say he's done, he's terrible, let's get rid of him. But I mean, to say you completely believe in him, it's a little more than just like, yeah, he's working through some things and we're hoping he can get back to it.
Yeah, I mean, before injury, we're talking about July of 2021. That was the last time he pitched. And I agree with you. You know, Daniel was on our show a lot, big Jimmy Nelson guy. We both were. He was fantastic. And yet, we're talking about almost 2 years ago. The velocity is down. The performances, as I said, have been really bad. I don't even know. It feels like he's getting pulled mid inning in most of these performances. And so, do you think, I mean, if you had to make a bet right now, like, does Jimmy Nelson pitch at the major league level for the Dodgers this season?
I would say yes, just because they're going to go through so many relievers. Like, even if he isn't amazing like he was before, he'll probably see some innings just to see what he has. So, yeah, I'll go with you.
Okay. Okay. I mean, would you take the over on like 4 2/3?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. All right. Last one, Chris Taylor. We've talked a lot. Matt and I on our Sunday night show talked about Chris Taylor and his struggles. The numbers are not pretty. As I said, the unfortunate part is as much as we can say spring training doesn't matter, when Chris Taylor has struggled as mightily as he had in regular seasons and comes into spring and looks just as bad from a box score perspective as he had in years past, that to me is concerning. That to me is like maybe the spring thing we should take seriously. Maybe he's telling us who he is and we need to stop ignoring it. And yet, if you ask Chris Taylor, his quotes this week were optimistic.
Yeah, he said, I feel like I'm close. His swing is trending upwards, which for him, I feel like is a fair point because he's always been a very mechanical based hitter. If something's slightly off in his swing, it's going to mess him up. He's not one of those guys like Juan Uribe could have an ugly swing and still produce. Like Chris Taylor needs to have every perfect mechanic down for him to be successful. And that's something Dave Roberts has talked about before. And then I think with the neck injury last year, that was kind of affecting his swing and his mechanics. So if he feels like he's getting close, I kind of believe in him, but I've already said I have more belief in him, mainly because I don't think a hitter that good is just going to randomly fall off a cliff like that. So I'm gonna buy into that quote.
Okay, we've seen some Dodger hitters, guy maybe notably who's not with us anymore, who fell off a cliff like that, and it sure seems to be a sustainable cliff that he fell off of. Look, we're all rooting for Chris Taylor. I was a big fan of when they signed him, but I'm concerned. I mean, it's a mess. We talked about on the show. People are like, "Look, his chase rate was amazing. He was like 83rd percentile in chase rate." He was also the first percentile in whiff rate, which I pointed out is actually kind of the worst combination humanly possible because it means he was whiffing on pitches that were in the strike zone. I would much rather have a guy who has a terrible whiff rate be a guy who chases way too much because then you can think you can fix it. If you're just swinging and missing on strikes down the middle, which sort of is what the eye test tells you with Chris Taylor, that's the concerning piece. Now, could he turn it around? Sure. I am becoming less and less optimistic that he will. Sounds like you're still holding on to some optimism. Your Chris Taylor stock is not being sold yet. Is that what I'm hearing over there, Blake?
Yeah, I just have a really hard time seeing him falling off a cliff that hard. Like he was really good for what 5 straight years or something, and he I believe in the injury reason to explain it, kind of like how I've said the same thing for Max Muncy. So I'm just gonna hold out hope. I mean, there's not much really else you can do or he can
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you look at the numbers and sort of the OPS performance from when he showed up with the Dodgers back in 2016, 2017, he was great. 2018 was really good. 2019 was really good. 2020 was really good. 2021 is when things sort of start to shift. I mean, he's still an OPS around 800, but last year, a 677 OPS, weighted runs created plus of 93. So that number is actually, it seems higher than it felt like. But the strikeout rate is the concerning part, 35.2% strikeout rate last year. And this is for a guy that even in those peak years back in 2018, it was 29.5, 27.8, 25.7, 28.7. And so the strikeouts are the bugaboo for Chris Taylor. And if he can make quality contact when he's not striking out, that sort of seems to be the difference maker. But he just isn't making enough of it in the spring. He wasn't making enough of it last year. So the hope of all Dodger fans, Blake, is that you're right, that it was the neck injury, that he gets, he tweaks one small thing and all of a sudden everything falls into place and the Chris Taylor of old is back. But I will admit, I remain skeptical about Chris Taylor figuring that out. So there's our roundup. Jimmy Nelson, Dodgers, completely believe in the guy. Dustin May, back to pre-Tommy John form. Chris Taylor, he's so close, Blake. He's so close. Things are trending upward. He's going to get this thing figured out. Those are the quotes and the roundup from spring training. That's Blake Williams. My name is Jeff Spiegel. As always, thanks for joining us. Check out DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958 on social media. You can follow Blake on Twitter at @ByBlakeWilliams. You can follow me at Jeff Spiegel. We would appreciate it. But as always, enjoy the rest of your day. And of course, go Dodgers.